Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so guys, what I'm going to do is try to show you if you are planning to have your own PLC. Okay, so actually what I have here is my what I have here is my PLC demo board. Okay, so I have there my PLC. Okay, so I have here a Mitsubishi. This one have around 28 inputs. Then, well, I guess this one is having I think there may be 16 output here. That is a PLC FX40MT, so 40 IO. Okay, now actually the problem here is this is just DI and DO. Okay, now I have here a small PLC also, Mitsubishi. Now this one is think I have 8 DO, then 14 digital inputs. Okay, now I have here the HAIWELL PLC. Okay, this one is having 8 digital inputs, then 8 digital outputs. Then right here at the left is my OMRON. This one is having, I think, likewise I have here 24 digital inputs, then I think I have here 16 digital outputs. Okay, now all this PLC, there is no analog input module. Okay, so if you want to do some control or simulation of control with analog inputs, I guess you need to get an analog module. Okay, now I don't know if we can simulate one of the inputs here as an analog input. Okay, anyway, I will try to find that out. Now, okay guys, OMRON, HAIWELL, then Mitsubishi. Okay, now guys, these are all second hand. I tried to get it from a good friend of mine or several supplier in the internet, wherein they are dealing with second-hand building automation controllers, okay, or PLC. Okay, now as you know, I'm also doing BMS tutorial. Now I'm trying also to do some tutorial in PLC programming. Okay, now the most important here guys is how are you going to provide power to your PLC. Okay, so if you have a PLC, the first thing that you need to do is try to look for the proper power supply. Okay, so let me focus one. Okay, so I have here my OMRON. I don't know if you will be able to see the terminals, but just to give you an idea. Okay, first thing that you need to know is how much is the power source or the power requirement of your PLC. If you notice here, I have here plus and minus. Then by checking the details or the electrical details of the PLC, you will know that this PLC needs 24 volts DC. Okay, yes, that's correct, 24 volts DC, as you can see, plus and minus. Then in the terminals, you will be able to see the terminal labels. Okay, so you will see how many digital inputs. Then as you can see, there are 2 layers here. Just be very careful to distinguish which one in the labeling is the lower and the upper layer. Okay, so try to so as you can see here, so the downside layer is the power source. Okay, so that is positive and minus, so positive and negative 24 volts. Okay, then the next terminal there is a common. Okay, so be very careful to provide the correct power supply for your PLC. Okay, so that is the first thing that you need to know. Okay, then let me show you my, sorry for the movement. Okay, I will just try to move the, okay, now, okay, just bear with me. Now here guys, this HAIWELL PLC, likewise, it is needing 24 volts power supply. Okay, so make sure you need to provide the proper power supply. Okay, now let's go to this Mitsubishi. Now as you can see, Mitsubishi, if you are going to check the terminals, you will see here line, neutral. When you see line and neutral, L and N, we are expecting that this one is 220. Okay, single phase 220 power supply. So this one is 220, then this one is 220. Okay, so this PLC, okay, this PLC can produce, or there is a converter inside. What I'm trying to say is there will be a provision here for 24 volts output here. Okay, so you can get a 24 volts output here, but the ampere rating is very less. Okay, so likewise this one, there will be a 24 volts available in the lower terminal. Okay, just like the other PLC, you need to distinguish which one is the in the labels. You need to know which one is the power source, because you don't want to damage your PLC by providing the wrong power to the wrong terminal. Okay, so this is the most important here. Okay, so let me show you my setup. Okay, so since I'm having let me focus. Okay, since I'm having different power supply, 24 volts and 220. Okay, so first thing that you need to do is to provide your main circuit breaker. Okay, so I have here my main circuit breaker. Okay, so this is my main circuit breaker. Okay, right now it's off. Okay, then I have here my power supply 220 to 24 volts DC. Okay, so I'm planning to use this to provide 24 volts in my OMRON and to my HAIWELL PLC. Okay, so as you can see here, I also provided here. Okay, so let me move my camera. Okay, so I also provided here a way how I'm going to isolate the power supply to each PLC. Okay, because if you will not provide a way to isolate the power supply to each PLC system, then when you turn on your main power supply or your main breaker, all your PLC will be powered up at the same time. Okay, so what I'm doing here, let's say I'll be feeding here 24 volts, then the positive 24 volts, I tried to connect it to my single pole circuit breaker. Okay, so I can easily isolate the power here if I don't need to run this PLC. Likewise, this one, I also have 24 volts. I put it in a single pole circuit breaker. Now here, as you can see here, I'll be feeding 220 here. So again, my 220, my line, I let it pass a circuit breaker. Okay, so in this way, I will be able to isolate power supply here, power supply here, power supply here, because in the near future, I will be developing a main control here, control panel, wherein I will try to do some PLC programming to test how this PLC works. Okay, now again, you need also the programmer or the programming tool for this one, the CX1. Then this one, the good thing for the HAIWELL, by the way, shout out to Harold D Automation. He was the one who provided this. Then for this HAIWELL, this is good one because the software is available. You can easily download it from the internet. Okay, now this one I cannot see downloadable programmer for the OMRON. Okay, then the Mitsubishi, I was able to get a programming tool for this Mitsubishi, but I think the programming tool is working fine with a 32-bit computer. Okay, now I'm having some difficulty if I'll try to install the installer in a 64-bit computer. Okay, but anyway, just have a patience in installing the software, then you will be able to install it. Okay, so power supply is the most important. Then the next part is how are you going to wire your PLC. Okay, so understand how the digital inputs and digital outputs to be wired in your PLC. Okay, so there are some things that you need to consider. Okay, so that will be next part of this tutorial, but what is important here is providing the proper power source to each PLC. Okay, so this one is 220. This one is 24 volts, 24 volts. Okay, so the next thing that I need to do is power up my PLC. Okay, because I have completed this one. Okay, Now, if you know how you are going to wire, then maybe I will try to create another tutorial. Then I will illustrate how are you going to do the wiring. But if you have some background with controls, then you can easily wire the power. So just concentrate in the power. Don't make any mistakes so that you will not fry your PLC. Okay. So now I'm ready to simulate. Okay. Now I already provided 220 in my incoming for my circuit breaker. So I will try to turn it on. Okay. Okay. Now my power source is now available. I have 220 here. I provided 220 also in my, okay, so let me focus it here. Okay, just sorry for the movement of the camera. Okay, so I provided 220 already. Now I have already 220 in the outgoing. Then this one already having 24 volts. I mean the output is, there is already output there 24 volts that I will use for my PLC. Okay, so first thing, let me power up this OMRON PLC. Okay, so I will try to power it up by turning on my single port circuit breaker. Okay, as you can see, you will be able to see. Okay, I hope you will be seeing my, okay, so as you can see here, there, okay, sorry, so as you can see, there is already power and it is in run condition, meaning there is already a program uploaded to this PLC. Actually, I tried to program this in my previous tutorial. Okay, so power is already there. Then you can upload a new program. Okay, so it's already powered up. Now it's time to power up our HAIWELL PLC. So let me move it here. Okay, now as you can see, I will try also to turn on. This one will provide also 24 volts. Okay, as you can see, I already have power and the PLC is in run mode also. So meaning there is already program in this PLC. Okay, so I already programmed this one, did some simple programming. Also this one also did some simple programming. Okay, now my PLC OMRON and HAIWELL is already powered up. Okay, so let's see. Now let's try to power up our Mitsubishi here. So I can power it up. Okay. Okay. Now if you will see, there is already power and run indication here. Likewise, I also have here power and run indication. So meaning all this PLC, they are already having there are already uploaded some simple program. Okay. So this is the way how are you going to provide power to your PLC. Okay, so first thing that you need to do, you should be having a main circuit breaker. Then if you have the isolator circuit breaker like an isolator switch, then you can provide its PLC. Okay, because you must be very careful in providing the proper power requirement for each PLC. Okay, so this is how I try to provide the power for the PLC. Okay, so guys, I hope I have given you some idea if you are also planning to get your own PLC, and if you need to have some guide how are you going to provide the basic power requirement, then this is it. Okay, so guys, thank you for joining me, and I do hope I will be able to see you in my next upload. Now, if you are new to my channel, you can always click the notification bell or click the subscribe button. Then try to help me in promoting this channel so that I can reach more engineering graduates or technical guys who are wishing to join in this kind of field of engineering. So thank you very much for joining me. Before I will end, God bless us all. Let's all be safe and bye for now.